I would just start with prayers. I think this is the best thing to start with, and then we will go into today's verses. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Shatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you so much for all of you being here. I want to beg for the blessings of all gathered Vaishnavas, and especially the senior Vaishnavas who have a lot of years of experience in the movement and really dealing with what it takes to be on a spiritual path. So please bless me to actually please you and Guru through this class. We are going into Canto 10, chapter 15, and it's from verse 39 to 42 today. And before we go there, and before I share the screen, I just want to establish how special the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is. And recently I heard from Indradyumna Maharaj in one of his lectures how he was speaking about Vipralamba Bhava, which is one of the highest, actually this is the highest experience of love and separation, which is what the gopis experience in relationship to Krishna, always wanting to connect with him and loving him and seeing him everywhere in these states of separation. And Srila Prabhupada actually said that one day this summary of 10th canto, which is the Krishna book that he also wrote, I will give my followers solace and keep them alive in Vipralamba Bhava, in the mood of separation. And so it's not only extremely sweet pastimes of the Lord, it's also what gives us life. And as Srila Prabhupada has stated that, I have a full trust that it really is going to continue giving us life and offer us solace even in the hardest experience of our development. And I also want to thank all of you, as the longest journey begins with a single step. So thank you so much for being here and showing up every day, because offering a single day is a practice of offering the entire life to Krishna. So with all that being said, I will share the screen and we'll start with the verse 39. So share screen. You all can see it, right? Can you let me know? Good, okay. So because there are 4 verses, I think that we are going over today, I will only recite Sanskrit of the last verse, and then the rest I will just do the rest. So let me just minimize something so I can see it well on the screen. Okay, so verse 39. Hearing of this magnificent feat of the 2 brothers, the demigods and other elevated living beings rained down flowers and offered music and prayers and glorification. Purport by the disciples of His Holiness Srila Prabhupada. Actually, His Divine Grace, I'm sorry. Sri Sanatana Goswami comments that the demigods, great sages, and other exalted beings were all astonished and ecstatic upon seeing the unusually swift and nonchalant way in which Krishna and Balaram killed the very powerful donkey demons in the Tala forest. And so here, what I wanted to speak about this verse is really seeing the mentality of the devotees, and here exemplified by the demigods, which is that the devotees rejoice in Krishna's pleasure and want to contribute to that pleasure in all of their lives, every second of their being. And so through the pastimes of the Lord, he increases their experience, the devotees' experience of awe and affection towards the Lord, who is almighty and all-powerful. And so just like Gorashan Prabhu mentioned in his class a few days ago, it is like a love competition and also a setting a stage to be able to glorify Krishna more. And so Krishna is trying his best and putting effort to please his devotees and his friends. And then they in turn also want to please him, even just by rejoicing and in seeing what he is doing and all the amazing things that he is bringing to manifestation. So what came to me when I was reading it, it's like devotees are like the hype men of Krishna, which is like, sometimes someone does something incredible, but then there's no one to cheer them and it kind of just falls into silence. But here it's like the devotees are like this amazing crowd of the original rock star Krishna. And they are just really celebrating everything that he does, really recognizing and seeing his opulences. And when I was also thinking, I often contemplate what is the definition of a devotee in a particular verse or how it applies to the specific verse, because throughout our tradition, there are many definitions of a devotee. And recently I found a very simple one from my spiritual master, His Holiness Radhanath Swami. And the definition is, a devotee is one who accepts Krishna. And I was really contemplating on that and how it relates to what it means to truly accept Krishna, and in turn, what it means to let go of the envy that actually keeps us away from accepting Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and truly rejoicing in witnessing his pastimes. And so then there is this breakdown of a sense gratification, which Radhanath Swami divided into two, which is the concentrated sense gratification and the extended sense gratification. And so the concentrated sense gratification means to identify with the body, which is based on the principle of I, to make sure that everything is leading to my pleasure. And then the extended sense gratification is based on the principle of mine, which is, this is my children, my family, my country, and however much pleasure I can give them and I can please them, then in turn, because I am their proprietor and their provider, it gives me pleasure. And so this is a very faulty concept, because it, again, really forgets that Krishna is the true proprietor of everything. And so the flip side is being a devotee, first of all, accepting Krishna, and secondly, is really embodying that a devotee never considers himself to be a proprietor, the provider or the enjoyer. He knows that Krishna is the source of everything, and Krishna is the object of everything that he has created. And so in that mood, we want to glorify Krishna, which again, the demigods in this verse exemplify. And also that is the best solution to our envy. And another thing that I recently heard is that the first and strong indicator of how we can see our advancement in Krishna consciousness is that the tendency to find faults in others is actually decreasing. And this is a very strong tendency. And so we can also ask ourselves, am I actually finding faults in others? And how is it showing up in my consciousness? And this way, created as a barometer of our advancement and how we are actually meditating on the Lord. And then in this verse also, Sanatana Goswami is mentioned. And here it's a very simple show that Srila Prabhupada and his disciples who follow in his footsteps continuously bring the whole lineage by repeating the words of the great souls. And it both is because we can never just speak for ourselves. We only speak through the mercy and through blessings of our acharyas. And also it's coming out of humility and affection towards them, because the beauty and the depth of realizations is continuously being churned. And so this way, even by quoting or stating the name of the acharya, we're actually living with them. And then they're invited into our circle of us coming together around Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very sweet thing and a beautiful mood to embody. And it reminded me of the pastime of Srila Prabhupada. One time a reporter asked him, Swamiji, what happens when you die? And Srila Prabhupada didn't even allow him to finish the word die. He just cut him off and said, I will never die. I will forever live in my books. And so in this way also we can connect with Srila Prabhupada like today by reading his commentaries of his disciples, and also reading the books of the acharyas and Goswamis and weaving them into our discussions. So it's time to go to verse 40. People now felt free to return to the forest where Dhenuka had been killed, and without fear they ate the fruits of the palm trees. Also, the cows could now graze freely upon the grass there. Purport. According to the acharyas, low-class people such as Pulindas ate the fruits of the palm trees, but Krishna's cowherd boyfriends considered them undesirable, since they had been tainted with the blood of the asses. And so here it's also a very clear indicator that Krishna performs the pastime to please the devotees, not to get the fruits of the trees. Even though the pastime starts as the gopas bringing it before Krishna and saying, well, there are those amazing fruits and they smell so good, and the forest is actually, like, we cannot go there because there are demons and nobody even dares to come near. Could you please consider going there so we can get the fruits of the trees? At the end of the day, when the demon is killed, they don't even touch the fruits. They don't even want to come near them either. Just like at the beginning, they didn't want to come near the demons and the forest. And so I was thinking how this also is a perfect example of renunciation. That it wasn't so much effort, because Balaram didn't really had to put any effort towards killing the demon. He actually had to kind of temper down and put just enough strength to kill the demon and exemplify his incredible strength. But still they went there and put some effort into carrying out this pastime. And then when everything is cleared in a external way, they actually don't get to taste the fruit and get what they aim to do. And it's also beautiful because when the fruits are already there and they're stained with the blood of the demons, already seeing that it actually is not supporting towards their consciousness or towards anything in connection to pleasing Krishna, they just simply reject them without any second thought. And so that brings me into the principle that we accept what is favorable for our bhakti and reject what is unfavorable, as simple as that. But then I also thought of just personal meditation and asking myself, how eager am I to let go of something that I find is not supporting my bhakti? And also going deeper into this question, how quick is the timeline of surrendering it to Krishna, in a way that sometimes there are those smaller things that are not outwardly really against my devotional service, or really against increasing my Krishna consciousness or developing it in the first place. But still, even subtly, they can be really affecting. And I also heard, like, the moment I'm thinking, is this good for me? Usually, if I'm already stepping to consider that, the chances are it's actually not so good. And so what is the timeline of that, of really deeply seeing, maybe it's not, or maybe I even shouldn't risk this, and right away rejecting it. And so the boys did exactly that. The moment they saw the blood being on the fruit, they just were so satisfied with Balaram killing the demon and wanting to rejoice in that celebration, that they just completely let go of their desires to eat the fruits. What else is in my notes? Yes, another question that I wrote, which is that the boys had it very easy to let go of even their desires that were there to facilitate the pastime, but they let go of their desire to eat the fruits very easily because they were rejoicing very deeply in already seeing the strength and the opulences of Balaram and Krishna. And so another question, as a perhaps sadhana reflection towards me that I wrote, was, do I truly have faith that to come closer to Krishna is millions and millions and millions of times more valuable than anything else I could do or attain materially? And that faith is very crucial, to really trust that Krishna is actually everything and anything that we could ever want it to have. And that reminds me of a pastime of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. There was a time where he came before his beloved deities, just Radha Raman, and Radha Raman just completely satisfied all desires in his heart, even though he wasn't even aware of having them in the first place, because he was so surrendered. And so there was this sense of this incredible satisfaction and really trusting that Krishna can fully satisfy us. So I would like to move on to verse 41, but I would like to check if there is any quick reflection or comment that anyone would like to offer. And I'm also doing it partially towards myself because I'm noticing myself needing a little break, and I would like to hear from someone. If not, I would just take a breath and continue.
Adipurusha Prabhu, unmute yourself. Ekeshwara Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, this is a cool pastime. You pointed it out very nicely, and just to emphasize and reflect the things that you mentioned, that this is a loving exchange. Krishna is so wonderful. There's a loving exchange between Krishna and his devotees. The devotees actually provoked Krishna and Balaram to go there because they know Krishna likes to go and fight the demons. It relishes that. It's kind of, they have a swagger, in the football teams when they're winning. They have this way that they walk. I could just see Krishna and Balaram going there. Let's go take care of those guys, And then the other thing you mentioned, which is very sweet, the way that in an effortless way, there's that picture in the Bhagavatam of, I think it's Balaram, holding the leg of one of the demons, and he has such a gentle grip. His hands are very relaxed, and he's very delicately holding, and the demon is snarling and growling and sharp teeth and kicking, and Balaram just throws him up in the tree, just to kills him without any real strenuous endeavor, just like Lord Braha kills Hiranyaksha just by a gentle tap with his left hand on the side of his head. So it's kind of interesting to see that enthusiasm that the cowherd boys, this verse is about their rejoicing. Yay, Krishna, you did it. Okay. So they were trying to please Krishna by enticing him to take on the battle. And then Krishna was pleasing them by having this glorious, dramatic fight. And they were also very happy to see that. So there's like this loving exchange between them. They're trying to please Krishna, and Krishna's trying to please them. Anyway, just a small reflection. And you already mentioned all these things anyway, but it's really a cool story.
Thank you. Thank you so much for saying that. I will now continue to verse 41, and it was so sweet to just hear it with other details that were not mentioned today. So, verse 41. Then lotus-eyed Lord Sri Krishna, whose glories are most pious to hear and chant, returned home to Vraja with his elder brother Balaram. Along the way, the cowherd boys, his faithful followers, chanted his glories. Purport: when the glories of Sri Krishna are vibrated, both the speaker and the hearers are purified and become pious. So, a simple point, which is how lucky we are to even be able to hear and chant the glories of Krishna. This is something that is not an ordinary thing, even though we can have it in our everyday life. And that brings me to the quote of Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati, who speaks about this inability to even really contain the sweetness and the desire that arises in the heart to hear more and connect more with Krishna when we actually hear and chant his glories. O dearest Vrindavan, full of the highest bliss, if I see your beauty full of moving and unmoving beings with millions of spiritual eyes, if I smell your fragrance with millions of noses, if I hear about your qualities with many ears, and if I wander within you with millions of feet, and offer respects to you with millions of hands and heads, I will still not be satisfied. And here in this pastime, we also see how cowherd boys are very easy to appreciate and rejoice in seeing Krishna and Balaram, just performing their incredible pastimes. And so it's that they are just waiting for anything to happen to be able to talk about Krishna. And if there is nothing happening in the meantime, when they wait, they just talk about what already happened, although there is so many things happening on and on and on, when Krishna continuously shows how wonderful he is. And I also imagined how they can speak about Krishna's narration or narrating Krishna's pastimes from different points of view. Oftentimes the boys take different positions and then they just talk about the difference of perspectives in even seeing the pastime, adding details and details and details of those pastimes to continuously speak about the Lord. And here there's a verse from Raghunath Das Goswami in Braja Vila Staba, I think it's verse 42. Affectionately protected by Krishna and their minds wrapped in meditation on the particles of dust falling from the tip of his handsome lotus toenails, the Gopas experience the happiness greatest than the happiness of many millions of universes. I worship these exalted Gopas. Thank you so much, Raghunath Das Goswami. Just reading about that affection that the Gopas have towards Krishna brings so much to even have this solace in the heart. And that just worshipping the particle of dust on Krishna's lotus toenail can bring such an incredible happiness. And here again, the devotees see the best. Oh, that's not actually, sorry, I just put that quote stopping my thought flow. But I was wanting to bring the point that devotees see the best in others and really share their heart and appreciation. Because cowherd boys are so ready to just glorify Krishna because they love him so much. I was thinking, how can we also embody this mood in glorifying the devotees in our communities? And again, combating the envy by offering our appreciation towards others. Because the more we find the best in others, the less our minds are eager to judge them. And then I was thinking how wonderful it is that even in this ignorance that we fall into, there still can be a form of innocence. And I thought about how Srila Prabhupada recognized that even the Western disciples that he wanted to bring to Krishna consciousness, they were breaking the regulative principles almost daily, but still they were eager to hear Krishna Katha, which is all purifying. And so even in the fallen condition, if it comes from ignorance, there's a lot of hope to bring ourselves to Krishna consciousness. Because even connecting with Krishna Katha is going to very certainly and gradually remove all those anarthas from the heart, which can be also seen in the exalted disciples of Srila Prabhupada, which are now just pure devotees themselves, even if they externally may be starting in different points of being. And I will conclude in the last verse. And this is Tam Gora Jashurita Kuntala Bhatha Barha Vanya Prashuna Ruchirekshana Charu Hasam Venum Kvanantam Anugar Upagita Kirtim Gopyo Didrikshita Drisho Yagaman Sameta. Translation. Lord Krishna's hair, powdered with the dust raised by the cows, was decorated with a peacock feather and forest flowers. The Lord glanced charmingly and smiled beautifully, playing upon his flute while his companions chanted his glories. The gopis, all together, came forward to meet him, their eyes very eager to see him. Purport. Superficially, the gopis were young married girls, and therefore they would naturally be ashamed and fearful of casting loving glances at a beautiful young boy like Sri Krishna. But Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all living beings are his eternal servants. Thus the gopis, although the most pure-hearted of all great souls, did not hesitate to come forward and satisfy their love-struck eyes by drinking in the sight of beautiful young Krishna. The gopis also relished the sweet sound of his flute and the enchanting fragrance of his body. Okay. So here I was noting down that the purport speaks about the quality of shyness, which is often presented in the Vedas. And here gopis take every single opportunity to come to Krishna and allow their eyes to drink his beauty. And this is their life force, seeing Krishna and allowing their lotus eyes to bathe in his sweetness and charming form. And I was thinking also, reading this purport, how usually gopis actually have to only take in Krishna's form through their sidelong glances, because they have to be the chaste and shy wives, and also just act in accordance to the social etiquette, which is very respectful and beautifully protects also women from any complicated affairs with opposite gender. And so it's described, as I heard from Indradyumna Maharaj in his oh gosh, I forgot the series, so I'm sorry. Oh, Stimulation for Ecstatic Love, that's how the series is called. And in that series there is there's a class when he talks about mirrors and how mirrors actually deepen the ecstasy in the spiritual dealings between Srimati Radharani and Krishna. And she actually wears a ring which is specifically meant to be used when she cannot look at Krishna directly. Because with that ring there is a reflection of Krishna, and that ring in a very mystical way actually can capture the Lord's image for, I think it's like a few hours, if not like a whole day, so that when they see each other, she can use this magical device to actually capture the image of the Lord, and then she protects it. So it's her sweet secret. And I was thinking how eager the gopis are to see the Lord, and how they are constantly seeking his presence, and to be able, for their eyes to be able to only see him and nothing else. And that again made me think, how does it relate to also our lives? And for us, or for me, I'm of course not at all advanced, and there is such a long way for me, if ever possible, to see the form of Radha and Krishna. But still, I am very blessed to be able to see the deity form of them, which is not different from them. And so there was this question that came to me, a personal sadhana meditation or reflection question, which is, how eager am I to come before the Lord and to imprint his image in my own mind, to cherish it when I get a chance to see the deity form of the Lord, and to long for seeing the lordships when they are not before my eyes. How deep is that longing? Because we can truly come into relationship with Krishna through the sound vibration, through seeing the deity form, and in this way also develop all those beautiful feelings and attachment and affection towards them, especially wanting to continuously serve them and cherish that service, and to also long for that service. I'll end with also a quote from Viveka Satakam, which translates to 100 verses of Vedic wisdom, which is verse 53. Fleets of golden chariots, herds of giant elephants, impetuous horses, an umbrella embroidered with a sun and a full moon, the use of astonishingly beautiful chamara funds, a great kingdom, 9 kinds of treasures, expansive horizon, beautiful girls. None of this compares to a fragment of the bliss of worshipping the lotus feet of Krishna, who is the Lord of ladies of Braj. So with that, I will finish this class, and I would like to welcome any reflections, comments, corrections, questions, anything that you would like to offer.
Thank you, Ananda Manjari. Beautiful class. You said in the beginning how devotees are eager to contribute to Krishna's pleasure. So this class was a very solid contribution into Krishna's pleasure. Thank you, Ananda Manjari. So with that, we'd like to open it up for contributions. So first, we're supposed to ask the temple room. The temple room, Haribol, do you have a question or a comment? Adipurusha Prabhu is coming up.
Grateful. And we delight in your existence. Good heart, your good heart in Krishna service is a great inspiration for us. Thank you so much. All glories to Prabhupada.
Jamuna Jaya.
Hare Krishna. I will second what Adi said. I am grateful for your existence. You're an angel. You just are. But your last bit was really making me think of like how eager are we to stand before the forms of the Lord. And I remember, at 2020 when Bhakti Center got locked down and nobody was allowed to get in. And I could feel that's like, oh my God, I can't see Radha Muladhar. And I was in and out of the building all the time. And I remember that feeling like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And so when we first got back in, I was so, hungry. And little by little, though, now that I can come in and out of the building anytime I want to, how many times am I not as eager as I was then when they had been taken from me? And it's just a reminder that and especially I talk to people that don't have, association, that don't have a temple, how I take it for granted and how I shouldn't, that, I have these amazing forms of the divine that I can stand before, that I can, serve. So thank you for reminding me of that, because it's too often that we take for granted those beautiful deities that we have at our disposal. So thank you, love.
Thank you so much. And it's so beautiful to also actively remember that separation and to not wait for it again, but to actually continuously invite that mood of like, it can happen again. And to really continuously invite the gratitude through that. It's kind of like the learning from remembrance, or learning through hearing instead of learning by experiencing it again, which is a very wise thing to do. If no one else want to say anything, I want to add a pastime to what Jamuna Jaya just shared. And it's a pastime where, unfortunately now I'm forgetting the place. Perhaps Krishna Daya Prabhu will remind me, but there's a place where Krishna wanted to test the love of gopi storks, and he just told them like, wow, you are really chastising me all the time. I'm trying to please you, and you are not really reciprocating at times, or you are, because the gopis chastise Krishna and they just jokingly play with him, but also call him out on many things and all these things. And then he just comes before them and says, and if you do it again, you will never see me again. And even the most feisty gopis, their hearts stopped and they were like, I'm not going to even try to say anything to it. And it's even said in that pastime that they didn't even want to contemplate what it would be if Krishna actually means it. They just didn't even want to think about it. They were like, okay, Krishna, it will be as you wish, always. And that's how they actually proven their incredible love towards him. Krishna Daya Prabhu, do you know the place? Maybe I'll find it in my notes. But there's a place where Vaishnavas go as a pilgrimage, and following the mood of the gopis, they never come back, because the gopis never came back to that place. They just didn't even want to think about the potential of Krishna never showing himself to them again.
Did you go to that place, Krishna Daya Prabhu?
Sorry, Prabhu, I'm not.
No?
I'm not able to recollect the name. Sorry.
I think I have it in my notes. It's Parehi. That's how it's called. So that's the place. Vaishnavas go there once, and in the footsteps of the gopis, they never come back. Anything else that wants to be shared?
I have a question.
Yes.
You were mentioning how the devotee's job is to reject anything that is unfavorable to Krishna and accept everything that is favorable. And sometimes it's so hard we know it's unfavorable, we know we're supposed to reject it, but we go for it. And in the Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, verse 60 something, it says, by contemplating the object of the senses, we develop attachment, and then from attachment comes lust, and from lust comes anger. So what is the problem here? Can we really unsee the objects of the senses? Can I not see, the women on the street, the beautiful cars, apartments that people live in? Can I not see that? Or the daily news in my phone? Or the problem is my attitude. that I'm thinking it's for my enjoyment. So how do I go about rejecting? Give me some practical advice on how to reject things that aren't good for me.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this question. And even naming specific examples helps to understand that you're already contemplating what disturbs your senses, which is a very important step. And so I think it's both. First of all, is being very honest with ourselves, like what truly disturbs me. Then another thing is the attitude, which is like, even if something disturbs me a little bit, can I actually just protect my senses from it too? And of course, like there are situations when we just cannot protect ourselves from it. I saw a car accident, a very severe car accident, like 2 weeks ago, and it still comes up in my dreams. And I didn't ask for it, but I saw it. At the same time, I was also remembered how important it is to really cherish our time and really put our efforts into our sadhana. But I feel that the answer is one, really being honest with ourselves and not taking chances. If we can actually serve our consciousness by protecting it from being exposed to something that could potentially disturb it, and if we can really do it, we should really put effort into doing it. And if it's impossible to do that, we still at all times need to ask Krishna for help. And again, combat the lower taste with the higher taste. And then if there is something that it cannot be let go, cannot be engaged in service. And then the moment it no longer can be engaged in service, can it be just let go? So I think this is that, but we also need to be aware that when we live in cities, there's so much sensory stimulation, but we also have a reason why we live there, and usually it is to do what we are meant to do, which is to spread the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya. And so yeah, in short summary, it's honesty, humility, and practicality. Like what can you really do, and do what you can do, and what you can't do, just pray about it and then keep praying. Did it answer the question?
Oh yeah, perfect answer. Thank you, Ananda Manjari.
There was a hand by Bhima Prabhu. I don't know if he's still in the call.
Ananda Manjari, what a wonderful, beautiful class. Your appreciation of the aesthetics of some of the verses and the call for us to slow down and really understand, to capture Krishna, and it like Radharani does with that magical ring, that sort of holographic understanding. Prabhupada said, and this is an answer to Ananda Bihari's question, Prabhupada said, you can't, I can't remember where it is, but it's in a purport, and it's very important, that we're never going to give up lust in this material world for forms of beauty and things of attraction unless we develop a lust for the form of the Lord and the beauty of Goloka Vrindavan. And Ananda Bihari, I would say that your problem is you're not lusty enough. You're not lusty enough. You have, when you just say this is nothing, when you understand that this is nothing, if you can extrapolate the value of that which attracts you in this world and extrapolate it out to the absolute, then you have a goal. You have a goal, you have a target, and all you have to do is to pull that bow of your Cupid's bow, your arrow, pull it just a little, pull it way back every morning when you chant your rounds, and when you spend time reading the books. Pray to Krishna to reveal to you, some glimmer, some glimpse. Apparently with the saints, it only took one sighting, and then the rest of their life they followed, like Narada Muni, tried to find Krishna through various and sundry universes. So this is the lust that we need to have. And Ananda Manjari, the way you give a class, the gentleness of your voice, one is reminded of Krishna's flute. And when I saw that you were giving class today, and then listened, I was walking through the woods and I just said, this is as good as Krishna's flute as far as I'm concerned. So thank you once again. Hare Krishna.
So much for this contribution. I want to read what Jamuna Jaya said. I think the key to 262 is the word contemplate. We can't unsee things, but we don't have to keep holding them in our minds. And yeah, to actively contemplate is really to sit with it, but we cannot let it go unless we really try to focus on something else at times. And then what you mentioned made me think of how in this stage of at least my development, I cannot rely at all at any spontaneous desires. The key is also the discipline. And so when we discipline our minds eventually, and so our logical mind and intelligence is strengthened to really trust that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and he is the all attractive. And at some point we will really have this. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Nice, Ananda Manjari ki jai. Thank you, beautiful class. Kula Pradeepa, Hare Krishna. Nayana Manjari, Hare Krishna. Okay. Cameras on, please. Standing up if possible. Adipusha Prabhu, please don't go away. Please. Adi. Yes, yes, yes. Good. All right, Hare Krishna. That was it. Thank you very much, dear devotees, for actively contributing to Krishna's pleasure by attending this class so steadily and so sincerely. Thank you for your questions, comments, contributions, for your smiles. Thank you very much. Bhima Prabhu, thank you. That was so nice. Ananda Bihari, you're not lusty enough. Yeah, that's me.
Prabhu, was I cutting out because I was in a
No,
trying
it
to
was
find?
very clear.
Okay, great. Hare
You were
Krishna,
trying to
Prabhu.
find. You were trying to find Krishna.
Yeah, a place where I can actually reach out to the devotees, which that would probably be the same thing. Yeah, there are various places in my house and around my house where I cut out. So I'm just trying to get a barometer as to where I can be heard and and listen, obviously, and listen. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Thank you for having her once again. Another one like Leela to have on more often. Pressure. You have to throw pressure at these
Yeah.
devotees.
Adipusha Prabhu once told me. Adipusha Prabhu once told me that he's not sure if Ananda Manjari is real. She's so serene.
Yeah, she's relatively new too. Like, didn't she just join a couple years back? Hasn't she just been around?
Yeah.
Yeah, and meanwhile, I swear to God, if I took birth again, like, if I took birth again, I would have her as a guru. She's guru quality, you know what I mean? She's just there. She's just so new, and yet she hits. There's not a thing that she says that is not 100% resonant with that spiritual hankering that we all have to understand, what Krishna consciousness is all about. So keep having her back on, and Leela and all the rest of them. I'm glad to step aside and make room.
Yeah, it's very reassuring to see that devotees of that quality exist. It's very nice, very inspiring. So if Ananda Manjari can do it, I can do it. Adipusha Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, when we offer words of appreciation, she says, "My spiritual master is making me into a jewel." She takes the praise and offers to Radhanath Swami.
Yeah. Or there's something in the chat from Jamuna Jaya. But we want you too, Bhima Prabhu. Yeah, see? Devotees want you, Bhima Prabhu. We will reach out to the authorities. We will put it before the Lord.
I like having the non-pressure of being able to blurt out a comment. It's nice not having the pressure to actually have to pretend to be a devotee, whereas I can just, look on, and as she said, be a hype man. That was very funny. Krishna's hype men. Did you hear that at the beginning when the demigods and the gopas are all cheering for Krishna and Balaram taking on Denikasura? She says they're his hype men. Hyping. Hype man. I thought that was great. Yeah, I like to be a hype man.
Krishna. Yeah. Krishna is the original rock star and world hype.
Yes, that's it. Hey, listen, did Ananda? She came through the food interfaith, didn't she? Didn't she come through? Didn't she meet the devotees?
Helped us a lot with Krishna's prasad distribution. When Evangel was away for a month, she did all the baking, made the salad dressing, icing, and she even brought her mother.
Didn't she meet her first meeting with the devotees was through interfaith?
I think both. I think she was coming to the temple and helping with the distribution. At one point, she didn't know that we were connected.
That's wild. Hare Krishna.
There's the beautiful story she told a long time ago, Ananda Manjari, how she was coming to meet a friend at the Bhakti Center, and she was raining and it was cold, and the friend had stood her up and hurt her. And Shampak was sitting at reception. You guys might remember. And Ananda Manjari was so distraught. And she goes, "My friend let me down." And Shampak said, "I will be your friend." And Ananda Manjari said that Shampak put her hand down and she put her hand on top, and their hands were the same size. And then she kept coming. So it's really through the blessings of our other angel, Shampak, that Ananda Manjari really, took shelter of the Bhakti Center. I'll never forget that story, because it was just the power of what one devotee can do.
Then she introduced her to Radhanath Swami, and she gave her japa beads at the same time.
Yeah. They're very sweet, very inspiring devotional exchanges. It goes to show how important
devotees and devotee association, even more than the philosophy. That having the friendship of devotees is the primary thing. The friendship of the devotees.
Yeah, friendship, then prasanam, and then philosophy.
All at once.
Yeah, all at once. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Adi Purusha Prabhu, William Prabhu, Jamuna Jaya, Rich on the path of devotion, Yogeshwari, Susan, Dana Krishna's Radharani, Bhima Prabhu, the hype man, Bhima the hype man. Okay, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Srimad Bhagavatam never ends. This is our joy. This is Krishna's joy. Come again tomorrow. We'll have fun yet another time. Hare Krishna.